Ralph Nader wants to make sure the Boeing 737 doesn't fly again. He's a long-time consumer safety advocate whose grandniece died in the 737 MAX crash in March. He joins me by phone from Washington. You, sir, believe that there is something fundamentally wrong in the design of this plane, such that the re-engineering of MCAS, this computer system, won't be sufficient to make it safe?
That's right. The reason why the software package was constantly being revised and refined after miscuing and killing 346 people in Indonesia and Ethiopia is the inherent unstable design of larger engines put on the old fuselage of the 737, and doing it in a way that changes the center of gravity or the aerodynamic results, and that increases the risk of stalling. It's the stalling problem that has to go back to the problem of the overloading by the big engines.
All right. Now, the regulators, of course, say that the technology, MCAS, when it works properly, will solve that situation. Are you worried, though, that what we've heard from Boeing, right the way up to these latest messages, creates a lack of trust in their ability?
That's right. A software fix for a hardware defect is not the way to go in terms of aerodynamic engineering. And Boeing is misleading its investors, its institutional investors. They're already being investigated by the Securities Exchange Commission with a too rosy view, and saying that the planes will be ungrounded in the air by the end of December is a fantasy. They're in trouble on all fronts with their airlines. They're in trouble with the unions. They're in trouble with their own whistleblowers. More shoes are going to drop. More firings are going to occur. They just finally fired the head of their commercial aviation business, Mr. McAllister. But the whole top crew of Boeing has to go. They have a vested interest in not admitting mistakes, and they're jeopardizing the future of the Boeing Corporation itself. So Mullenberg and the board of directors need to be replaced.
Right, but you'd agree that Boeing has been making planes safely for the best part of a century. Therefore, what do you think went wrong?
Well, it used to be a very highly praised engineering firm, and then when the McDonnell-Douglas merger occurred with Boeing, the McDonnell-Douglas mindset, heavily shaped by commercial contracts with the Pentagon, took over Boeing and changed an engineering company into an investment stock market hyped company with huge bonuses for the top brass, and that led to increasingly controlling the FAA, which is underfunded and understaffed because of Congress and the White House under both parties over the years. And so here we have this bizarre thing, Mr. Quest, where you have this massive delegation of regulations to self-certification by Boeing itself, and there's no penalty. There are no fines by the FAA, and the FAA could impose fines $400,000 per violation.
When the regulators in the US say it's safe to fly, and we know that other regulators, for the first time pretty much in modern aviation, they're not, the JAA, EASA and the FAA are not going on the same path. The Europeans are going to go later, and Asia will go later, and China will probably go later since. But once all regulators globally say, yep, we are happy with this plane, then surely that's good enough.
It's not good enough unless they bring the planes back and dismantle the problems that caused the prone to stall and crash in Indonesia and Ethiopia in the first place. This is a patchwork Band-Aid fix, this software, and everybody's afraid in the industry because there are only two major manufacturers. As you know, there's Airbus and Boeing. I know the Chinese, Brazilian, Japanese are coming to compete shortly, but this is what happens when you just have two manufacturers, and the one in America controls the regulators and gives all kinds of campaign contributions to over 300 members of Congress. But the hearings coming up may surprise you.
Ralph Nader, good to have you, sir. We'll talk more about this as it progresses. I appreciate your time.